Adventurers, welcome back. It is time again for the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I'm here as usual with my wonderful co-host, the Lotus of Doom. Lotus, welcome back to the show.
Hey, that's me.
Hey,
I'm
that's
here
you.
as well.
You're here. And dude, this is exciting because it felt like forever when we got the big announcement that we were getting the reveal on the 27th, and lo and behold, it is the 27th, and we've had the reveal. Ta-da!
And they might have announced one or two things earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, there may have been a few little leaks going out there and stuff. But we got the big announcement, and it happened earlier this afternoon. We got a few things to talk about today, and it also happens to be the last Thursday of the month, which means that we have our patrons here. And on top of all of that, I was totally wrong with my theories, which is totally fine. But you gotta take a stab out there. You gotta try some stuff.
I told you, points for creativity, and you made valid points. Like
some of it still doesn't even make any freaking sense. Like, why would the warboard be facing the wrong direction?
Maybe it turns out this guy is very new to strategic advancement.
It seems backwards, doesn't it? It seems backwards.
It still does seem backwards, yes.
Some of that stuff is backwards. They didn't think it out clear enough. But anyway, this is neither here nor there because we have our patrons with us tonight. Let's welcome 4 of our patrons who are joining us to discuss all the fun reveals about the High Isle expansion for ESO. First, in our I'm just going to go order of how people joined us in the Zoom chat. We have Ben of Temeria joining us. Ben, welcome. How's it going?
I am doing great.
You're doing great. Ben is a Witcher by trade. He's also one of our Witcher patrons, and we've gotten to know Ben over dude. It's been almost most of a year now with the Witcher Lorecast.
Oh my god, it has been.
I know, right?
Holy crap!
Wow, time flies, huh? But welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're going to be here joining us to discuss this, and then we also have T-Rex joining us again. T-Rex, welcome. Hello. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't get to watch half of it because I was in a VA appointment, but I still caught, the good stuff. You caught
most of it, and then you had to. We were all chatting on the Discord while we were watching this, and she was like, "Oh, I got the first half, but I just want to skip my appointment so I don't have to miss the rest of this." Did you catch any of the other stuff, or did you go back and watch any of it?
I caught some of the live stuff, like the tail end of it, and like the very beginning to the tail end.
Gotcha.
And then the in between, I was just busy watching things when I got home.
Well, good. Well, we'll dive more into some of your thoughts, and then we also have Zuni here for the first time. Zuni, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been about a year since I started listening, so kind of went really quick, just like you and Ben getting on the Witcher Lorecast. So
nice. Well, thanks for being a listener of the show for such a long time and deciding to join us. So this is exciting. It's always nice to meet somebody for the first time and be able to have you join us on the show. It's always exciting for us. I'm interested to see your perspective, and then we also have Rob the Princess back. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing pretty swell. Thanks for asking. All is swell.
I'm glad that you're swollen. That's great. That's wonderful. I hope it's a good kind of swollen.
Swell, not swollen.
Oh, swell, not swollen. Not like buff. Like, ugh.
No,
like you've been working out.
Fresh from the gym. Super swole.
Super swole.
Just means I'm happy. That's all. Nice and swell.
To be fair, your background is also quite awesome.
Swell.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, it is quite
port
swell.
of Dawnstar. Just hanging out, enjoying the weather. It's a little nippy outside.
Yeah, and Ben is in front of a Nord statue.
Yep.
Everybody's got, well, not everybody. Some of us have cool backgrounds. The rest of us just have like office space behind us. But But anyway, speaking of cool backgrounds, the background of the location that we will be visiting has to do with the Bretons. And
wow, seamless, Tom.
Snuck that right in there. In a place called High Isle, which some of the community kind of sussed out, and they were right. And we got the big reveal today. So why don't we just dig right into this? I want to hear your impressions. So the first big detail that we have to go over is that this is a chapter where we are getting, of course, as they discussed before, this isn't an end of the world. The Daedra are trying to destroy the world or people or anything like that. This is a political intrigue story digging into the politics of the Bretons. It has something to do with maybe the three factions trying to use this location as a place to potentially negotiate peace, and this other group who doesn't want that to happen. That seems to be what the story is focusing around. How do you guys feel about going in this direction? What do you think about the story and where things are going to go? Because we got to talk story. That's a big thing having to do with the lore. Who would like to go first? Anybody want to chime in with some of your thoughts? T-Rex, start us off.
I remember the last Patron chat that we did. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the end of a 3-banner war.
Yes.
I was like, so this is where we're kind of going with it, huh?
Yeah. Well, it seems like there are
end, but
right. Well,
I did mention that they might be trying to end it.
Yes. Yeah. It seems like there are people in all three factions who want to find peace, and they're looking for a way to make this happen.
It'll be really interesting to see who goes.
Mm-hmm. In the trailer, we had representations of all three factions because we had a return of the heroes from each of the factions in the trailer. But we didn't actually have like the leaders or key figures from each of these factions show up at all. So we haven't seen who specifically is going to be involved with this. So that's yet to be revealed.
I mean, the only two name drops they did were Jakarn and Zaji.
Right.
So, and I'm kind of really excited about Zaji. I loved him.
Yeah, these are good characters. This is nice because they always bring back somebody that we've met in previous, story bits of the games.
Kind of a little bit disappointed that there's so far no Abner Tharn.
But he might show up.
I know.
We don't know.
I still have hope.
We don't know. There's almost always some sort of surprise. There's always something going on with the story that we don't know where it's going to go. We also, like so many years, there's the beginning of the story, and then the story continues on a second half DLC later in the year. So there could be a whole second piece to this involving other individuals and characters that we have no idea about yet, or a location that we don't even know about. So, we're only seeing the very beginning of what this might be going into. So who else has some thoughts about this? What do you guys think about where the story is going and focusing on the Bretons and political intrigue? Are we going to see some Game of Thrones-y backstabbing kind of interesting
they're definitely one of the cultures to have that, if that's the case.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's potential in the storyline for some really cool twists and turns with this is what we think is happening. Oh no, this is what's going on behind the scenes. And the writers have been known for that in the past. In fact, you look at a lot of the core zones, there's a lot of political intrigue in getting to know who's behind the scenes and what's going on in those core zones, in those stories. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that the Bretons... Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm piggybacking on your idea that, the Bretons, we've seen them as kind of the sidekick character, or, someone to throw a banner on and rally some others around. But like you said, they might actually have been pulling strings the whole time. And this is just maybe getting them to come to the summit is their way of, launching an attack, through the guise of a UN type meeting, getting everyone in the same place and using that as a draw. So that is definitely one thing. Right.
That could be part of it. And I mean, there's a conspiracy going on with this Ascendant group. The Ascendant Lord seems to be the big bad behind everything. and it's the character that we saw in the teaser with the armor and the fur on the pauldrons, and we haven't seen a face. So I have questions about this. Like, is there a reason we haven't seen a face? Is it somebody that we will recognize? Is it somebody we've met before and that their identity is being hidden for a reason because there's some sort of twist going on?
My theory is he's more like he's masked because he's that kind of character that the mask is the person. If you take the mask off, it's just some dude, and that takes away the mystery. Then the important thing about him is that he could be anyone, and it doesn't really matter who he actually is. It matters who he is becoming with this.
It's the symbol, kind of like not the individual, right?
Yeah, Mirak's another good example. It doesn't matter who Mirak was underneath that uniform. He kind of adopted that persona with that mask and robes that he had.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah. In chat, Alared says the Vader effect. The idea that a masked villain is more ominous than somebody whose face you can see.
Also, from what I'm expecting is that there's always a plot twist. And sometimes the plot twist is in the actual main villain itself. And sometimes it's like, oh, this other person is also involved. And I'm thinking it's going to be the latter this time. I'm thinking it's going to be one of the alliances is not so keen on agreeing for peace and is on the side of the Ascendant Lord. I think the easiest guess would be the Daggerfall Covenant. Makes the most sense, but it could be someone else.
Do you think the Bretons themselves are sabotaging the...
Yeah, that one makes the most sense. But my main idea is that one of the three alliances is on the side of the Ascendant Lord.
Interesting. That's an interesting poll. The other thing,
someone higher up.
The other thing that occurred to me, because the Bretons are Lehman Tuttle during the showcase got on and spoke. Lehman Tuttle is the lore master, and of course he has some interesting bits to add in here. And I'm sure during the writing process he's involved in every little step of hey, we're going to be writing out this section. What things should we be focusing on? And he's got his hand in all of it. And so when he gets in front of everyone, he gets to mention things. There's usually a reason why he brings certain points up. And one of the points that he brought up about the Bretons is that they are an interesting and dynamic culture in that they are a combination of man and Mer. That historically they evolved or developed from a combination of those two cultures, which is true. I mean, this has been part of the lore since forever. But does that mean that the Bretons then have a kind of unique standing in the world to at least sow peace potentially between the Manish and Murish races in a way that many other cultures can't? Because they have kind of a foot in both places in a way. Yeah,
or it makes them easier to betray the other side.
Right. But I mean, there could be individual factions, maybe there's the main group who wants peace or a subgroup who wants peace and another group of them who don't. And there's division internally. And yet both of those groups now have so much influence over other groups because they do have a little bit more influence over everybody.
They're in a much more pivotal position for sure. Whether what they do with that pivotal position is up to them, but they are right in the middle of it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that maybe plays into it some, to be able to say hey, we aren't so different from you to both sides of the argument. I mean, other than the beast races, they can't really look at the Argonians and be like, and we're kind of like you guys too, because they're not. But at least there's some sense of that. Ben, we haven't had a chance to pull you into this yet. Do you have any thoughts on what's going on here?
I mean, I agree with Rob on how the Ascendant Lord don't need anybody under the mask. The mask is itself is the villain. Mm-hmm. But then doing not a world-ending calamity expansion for the third year in a row.
Yeah.
It's a really nice change in the pace of the game, and to the lore aspect, getting back down to the roots of, hey, we're going to go more in depth with a race that we haven't really gone in depth with anymore. Kind of like with Elsewhere, what they did with the Khajiit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like with how the story's going to progress, I feel like there is the ascendant, like whatever the cult, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forget the official title of
the Ascendant Order.
Probably
Order. Yeah, it seems like a subsection of
Order.
The Ascendant Order.
Yeah, probably a subsection of Bretons that don't want anything to happen, or it could be, you know, since they're all in under armor, it could be a combination of all three factions.
They might be
wanting the war to end.
That's true, because we can't necessarily see some of them because they're
unless they have a tail,
armor type. That's also true. I suppose you could, like, I don't know, wind your tail around your waist and kind of hide it. I don't know. I don't know how tails work. I don't have one. If anyone else has a tail, let us know.
Or do you?
Or maybe I do.
Dun, dun, dun.
This one is sneaky with the tail.
Yeah, we've started with the plot twists already.
Plot twist. So we also have the location of the High Isles. So this is in fact, the High Isle is one of the isles that is part of the sister isle. It's spelled weird. It sounds like sister, like your sibling, but the spelling is different. The sister isles, and we're going to be going to a number of these isles. There's the High Isle, which is kind of like the place that the aristocracy goes in order to be like on vacation and, you know, show off the who's who of whatever. But then there's another isle that's like the place where they put the prisoners and just kind of let them run amok and just kind of lock them away and say, here, you go in here, which seems to be where a lot of the questing is probably going to happen, because you can run around and have to just fight whoever you run across. And who else knows, or who knows what other islands we're going to end up on for potential dungeons and DLC or whatever. But what do you guys feel about this location? How do you feel about going off to, you know, the ocean on some group of islands?
Awesome. Like something completely different from what we normally get. It's not like a mainland part of Tamriel for once.
Yeah, we're not etching out like another section of the main map. We're getting a whole separate section.
Part of me was drawn to the idea when they were talking about how it was a resort style thing for the rich, and I couldn't stop thinking about like Ibiza in Spain, and like that there's just going to be parties going on. When she was talking about Abner Tharn, you know, maybe we catch Abner Tharn on vacation halfway through, and that's how they bring him back in. You know, like.
Do you think
he's just been chilling on this island the whole time? Yeah. Like
he's got like a cocktail and he's got like flip flops on and like a.
What are you doing here?
He's got like a shirt with palm trees on it.
A surprise twist to elsewhere. Oh yeah, no, he just went off to an island resort this whole time.
I'm wondering if there's any historical parallels to. I'm trying to think. I think it's New Providence. Is that the island? It was an island that. A lot of different countries in Europe were trying, when they were all discovering the new land, they were trying to colonize the island of New Providence, but it just kept getting overrun by the next country that wanted, and by the next one, and by the next one, and also by all of the pirates that eventually culminated because of all of these leftover soldiers. And it was,
that's an interesting idea,
eventually abandoned and left to the locals, and the locals just kind of had it for their own. And then like 100 years later, I think the European government came in and took it. But like, I'm wondering if there's going to be any parallels to that, because it seems to be like, it was a vacation spot, and that's very similar. And it seems to be a very political spot, which that's extremely similar. So maybe it's just me projecting my own theories on it, but it does seem to have some historical parallels.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I don't know if we'll know until we, you know, actually see the storyline play out. But
if you guys don't know anything about New Providence, there's a fictional show that kind of goes on the tails of it. Black Sails. It's a pirate show. But it's a great show. Really cool show. Yeah,
there's another series on Netflix about the history of piracy. It's kind of a docu series, which is also really cool and talks about some of those types of locations as well. But yeah, I think we're going to see some of that piratey kind of stuff going on, because we've got ports and places like that. Also, what do you think about the way the island looks? In chat, while we were discussing this, people were saying it's kind of an interesting mix between Somerset and Breton culture. You've got kind of this, I don't know, subtropical, not quite tropical island, but the Breton buildings and structures and things like that. It's very pretty. It's not northern and cold, but it's, lots of sunlight, lots of colors, lots of plant life, cliff sides, things like this.
I'm so excited to just explore, like, not even, I'm excited about the content, obviously, but I'm excited to explore this new area. Like, yeah, Elsewhere was new. Yeah, a bunch of the other places were new, but like, I don't know. This feels more to me. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm really excited.
I think the way you describe it sounds like all the other places we know of.
Right.
This place here was only in what they said it was in Redguard and like a map, and that was it.
It's been only mentioned very few times.
Only thing we have.
Yeah.
So it's completely new territory. There's like no lore behind it.
And
so
it's only been described once in like one line in a lore book one time, and it's very vague.
Yeah, it's really almost non-existent, other than that there are those little island dots on the map. Like, that's the extent that they've kind of gone into it. So the writing team does a great job with fleshing out some of this stuff. So I'm really curious to see them like actually add something to this, because people have wanted off mainland Tamriel, but at the same time, you get kind of weird if you go into really abstract territory. This is almost like the perfect in between getting something totally different and totally alien to what we're used to on mainland Tamriel. But then also, okay, we didn't just go to Akavir or Yakuta or something like that. It's almost like a happy little medium between the two.
Yeah. And a lot of people, everybody has different opinions when it comes to Elder Scrolls, because Elder Scrolls is so vast and so diverse. And there's a segment of the population that just kind of, poo-poos on like, oh, it's just a bunch of medieval knights and that kind of crap. That's the most boring part. Give me more dark elves. Give me more Argonians and Khajiit. Give me the weird stuff. And I love all of it. And we've got a lot of the weird stuff recently, which is great. But I also just love freaking knights and castles and islands and pirates. Like, just give me some more of the medieval stuff. And maybe that's because of a fondness for Oblivion, which is just medieval fantasy world, but that stuff's great too. I love cool looking freaking knight armor and and stone castles and that kind of stuff. And political intrigue. That stuff's awesome as well. And so just give us, and I'm happy to go wherever they give us, because whatever they give us is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. The lore is going to be cool. The stories are going to be well written, and it's all going to expand out in some direction. And once this chapter is done, we're going to go back to something else, and we're going to get something weird and wacky again at some point. Like, it's right. We're just going to go back and forth between all the different areas.
To that point, like, I agree with you. I like the fact that this series is so varied in the different things. And the part about like, oh, it's been weird and wacky. I mean, the Deadlands, for anybody who hasn't played it, is really, really weird because when you start getting into Oblivion style stuff, it gets weird. But the thing is, if everything you do is weird all the time, then it just becomes normal. So having something more normal or relatable can accentuate the fact that when they do get weird, it comes across that way. But if everything's always a mushroom tower, then you kind of lose something when there's just like no grounding to anything in reality. And it's like, I agree. The medieval setting, I think, is kind of good because we haven't dealt with that for a while. So a little more grounded, less high fantasy thing, I think helps make the high fantasy or weird stuff a little more prominent when they deal with that stuff.
Absolutely. And grounded is the right word. You used grounded. And this stuff is the thing that grounds it in something that's familiar to us as human beings who know what castles and houses and knight armor and swords and axes and all of that stuff looks like. Zuni.
I think going on with the grounded, it kind of pulls the ESO's original story back too. It's like, hey, the war is still a thing, and it's been however many years, and hey, we're gonna either try to end it or something's gonna happen with it. But we've gone off and done all these, like they said, world saving things, and maybe they're gonna try to end it, or maybe they're just trying to pull you back in, to get the main focus back on ESO's original story.
Yeah, I like it. I've been playing through a lot of the original zones again as I've jumped back into ESO, and there's a lot of political intrigue in those areas. There's a lot of conversations about like the factions working together, even though they're the uniting of the different groups is a little bit odd. There's a lot of that storyline in the original sections, and in the expanded zones, you lose some of that because the storylines start to focus on other stuff. So I think you're right to kind of bring it back into that as a focus. Is I think it's time. It's really time to kind of bring it back around to what the game was originally doing. It makes sense.
My theory is they're going to take this grounded route that you guys are talking about, but they're going to find a way to make it weird. That's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it's just going to be like prepare for jousting for the next 45 hours while just, politicians are being aristocrats around you.
We're going to go to the Renaissance Fair version of Elder Scrolls Online.
Robots had mentioned that there seems to be a lot of like high elf themes as well, mixed in with the Breton themes, and I think that's kind of how they're going to really combine this man and Mer perspective, and they're really going to embrace both of it. And we might be seeing a little bit more Mer perspective than we're used to when we're around the Bretons, maybe.
The magic-y side of Bretons, I think. I think we're going to see some of that. Like, and we get hints of this. The idea that the Ascendant Order can somehow summon storms at sea. Like, they must be powerful mages. There's something going on there with magic. And
one of the dungeons was revealed that the Ascendant Order are essentially a bunch of Griffin riders that have a base in Somerset.
Yeah, so like exactly.
Some direct Altmer connections.
Yeah.
So maybe we bring Mammer back in, and there's two races that haven't gotten a lot of coverage in one thing, and they were
for sure
saying we're going over a race, meaning maybe there's two races that are coming into play.
Yeah, could be. Well, guys, this conversation is awesome. In fact, it's so awesome that we're already halfway through the show. So I need to thank our patrons. So you guys, and we're going to come back, and I want to make sure that we cover a lot of the other stuff that was mentioned as well. The card game, some of the stuff that's has been talked about, some of the, the new little things that you get for pre-ordering, all the other things. So think about some of the other things that were mentioned, and we'll be right back.
The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show, and I'll try to make this short and sweet. We have a brand new patron, Merrill Lynch. Welcome to the Patreon. Thank you for joining us. And big thank you to all 59. We're on the precipice of 60 patrons. Holy moly. Thank you to all of you guys, including our Daedric Princes, Mr. Gami Boy and Noodle Al Dente. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you to all of you guys, our tier 4 patrons who join us on the patron chats. And to those of you who couldn't make it today, I'm sorry you couldn't make it. If you would like to send in your thoughts and have them added to a future episode of the show, if you're tier 4 patron, I can still do that. So just send me a recording. I can always add that in if you'd like to get your thoughts on the show. And everyone else who helps support the show, all the other tiers, all of you guys help us make this a priority. You help make this a full-time career for me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So thank you to everyone. And if we've done anything to help you get through your workday, your commute to work, your workout, or watching The Mandalorian, because I just watched the most recent episode, which is weird because why would you watch a TV show and listen to a podcast at the same time? But if you're doing that somehow and processing both, then go to patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast. That's probably the weirdest one I've ever done.
Also, tell me how you multitask so well, because I need some of that in my life.
Yeah, maybe put like one in one ear and one in the other ear and somehow do that. That would be weird. But thank you to everybody. And we don't have any new ratings or new, at least new reviews to read out. But if you'd like to leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, if you could give us 5 stars and put in some words, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show. And if you are currently listening on Spotify, then do us a favor, scroll to the top where you can see all the episodes and get to the top where it shows the name of the show, the description. There's a little section in there where you can leave us a 5-star review. And if you do that, I will be very, very happy. Yep. So thank you to everyone who takes the time to do that.
Stars directly relate to how much enjoyment Robots is allowed to have in life.
I feel it in my soul every time someone clicks that button and clicks 5 stars. It's like I'll just be like, I'll be eating a sandwich and all of a sudden I'm like, it's like just a good feeling. I get it. It just happens.
Your sandwich just tastes 5 stars better all of a sudden.
All of a sudden I'm like, wow, this is a really good sandwich. It's amazing. It's amazing how that works. But thank you to everyone who takes time to do that. It really does help. I've noticed that Spotify is now recommending shows when you search them based on the average rating of the show, not the number of downloads. So that really does impact the ability for people to find the show. So please take the time to do that. We really appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
Yes, you're entirely brilliant. Conquering madness and all that. Blah, 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 blah.
All right, guys, we're back, and we've got some other stuff to talk about. We've got some controversial things, and then we've got some less controversial things. I never, you know how they say never read the comments? Also, never read Reddit after a big announcement, because all the whiners come out and they complain about everything.
Or the chat on a Bethesda stream.
Or the chat on it. Just never look at that stuff.
Bad.
It's like, what is everybody doing? Like, if you need to take time off from something because you're just not happy, just go do something else for a little while. Just like take a break. It's a video game. But there were some complaints about like, we still haven't gotten a new class. We still haven't gotten a new whatever. And we've heard explanations from the dev team that there are limitations around the old console generation and the amount of RAM that those consoles have, and limitations around building out new skill lines and new classes and those kinds of things. And that they just can't do that right now. It's going to be a while till we get that. So to have those expectations would be silly at this point, because they've told us that they can't do that. And there's no reason for us to believe that they're lying about it. And I don't understand why people would think that. But so we don't have that expectation. But what we do have, instead of getting something like that for this year, is an in-game card game.
Yay, Gwent.
And it's, but here's the thing. It's not like Gwent. It's not like Legends, because that was the Elder Scrolls card game, and they basically have closed that down. It's not even a combat card game at all. It is a resource card game. And this is something that they made very clear, is that it's and in fact, it's kind of a different card game than anything that I've experienced in a game at all, based on the description. You have decks, you have collectible cards that you can collect, but then when you compete against someone else, you combine your cards and their cards into a common deck, and then you mix them all up, you draw your cards, and then you use the cards that you get in order to try to collect resources and beat your opponent to collecting a goal number of resources. And that's all they told us about it. They didn't show us any of what the actual like fronts of the cards look like based on resources and things. They show us some pictures or, maybe some of the artwork and stuff, but we don't actually know the mechanics of the game. What do you guys think about this being added to ESO? Who would like to start?
My life's over.
Your life's over. Ben's just going to do this in game all the time.
I played so much Gwent and Witcher, and then just in the standalone, having this now in ESO on top of Legends. Yeah, it's over for me. Card games is where it's at.
All right. Yeah, Siri can wait. I've got to go play card games with all of the different bartenders in the entire world.
Got to get those achievements for that now.
Mm-hmm. Lotus knows.
The game sounds a lot like Dominion. I don't know how many of you guys have ever played Dominion, but it sounds a lot like Dominion.
It's been about 10 years since I played Dominion, but I have. Now you don't remind me. You don't mix your card decks together.
With that one, your resources and your deck, you're building both at the same time. You're building up your resources and you're building your deck. So you use your resources to get more cards in your deck. And everyone is collecting from the same pool of cards. So in that way, it's almost the same, but it's just how you get the cards you pull from is different.
Right.
Because in that one, everyone just has like 20 stacks of cards on the board, and then depending on what you do, you grab this card or this card, this card.
That's right.
And so they all have the same source. In this one, you pull your cards and the enemy's cards together, and you play those cards. So it's very similar.
Right. And some people were criticizing this, saying like, well, what's the point of collecting cards if it doesn't help because everyone gets the same cards? But that, to me, that sounds naive. If you know the cards in your deck, you go in with a strategy, aware of your strategy. If your opponent doesn't know what cards you're putting in the deck, they don't know what strategy to go in with. So if you know that you have some of the more powerful cards and you're throwing those in the deck, you know what to look for. So you do have a benefit going in because at least you know what you're looking for.
Or on the converse, whenever I play Dominion, I normally play curse decks and everyone hates me for it. You can intentionally put bad cards in your deck.
Right.
And make
right.
your enemies just hate you because they can't win because they just have the worst cards.
Right. So there is strategy around.
Interesting strategy.
Yeah, there's strategy around combined deck stuff. Right. Yeah. And this is my point to all of this is that we don't know the system yet. One, we haven't played it, so we can't come to a conclusion yet. So we might as well just be excited to try it out. And two, if it doesn't work great, this is a live system. They can fix it. They can balance it over time. You know, if it comes out not perfect, then guess what they do? They tweak it over time. It'll get better with adjustments. So, what about Zuni and T-Rex? Do you guys feel like you're going to play this? Is this something that you'll play in an online game, Zuni?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like you said, we don't know the mechanics, but does, winning or getting resources, give your account like character wise any special status or like, more not crowns, but do they bring in another currency to the game where you can use those things and buy new decks and things like that? So
it seems like it potentially unlocks new cards, but then winning can also get you a lot of other things. They were talking about how that can not only it'll get you like achievements, but you can get crafting stuff or furniture.
Cosmetics and transmutation crystals were the big ones.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, furnishings too.
So I'd love for it to be able to build your character with your deck and like building a deck around a character, kind of like something like Hearthstone. Each type of deck, there's a type of deck. So if you're playing one of your characters that's, let's say tank and smash and everything, you have a deck that kind of represents that or helps you craft things even further towards that. So
that could be cool. Yeah. And again, we don't know. So maybe like that could be very much a thing. T-Rex, what do you think?
I am excited about it, but I'm probably going to suck at it.
Oh no. Well, you can play the NPCs. You don't have to play other people. That's another thing is that you can challenge individuals, but you can also just go around the world challenging the NPCs. So there's that.
Okay, yeah. I might be okay against some NPCs.
The first step
but
of
other
being
people
really good at something is sucking at something first.
Right. And with the community that there will be 100 YouTube creators who will have all of the like best strategy to use in the new ESO card game. This is the deck you want to build. Yeah, like all of that stuff.
If you don't play this card, you're gonna lose.
Right. Number 1 OP card in ESO card game. Yeah.
And don't forget, there's a storyline tied to the card game now too. They should say.
Yeah.
So.
It's true.
Yeah. What do you think, Lotus? I know we've been chatting with our patrons a lot, but what do you think about all this?
Well, no, I think that's better because actually I was saying in chat, I hate this phrase, but cautiously optimistic. I don't play CCGs. I literally my friends had to teach me how to play Magic just so I could play Legends because I had no idea about anything.
You learned Magic to learn Legends?
Yes, I learned Magic.
Trigonometry to do addition.
That's amazing.
The thing was, I knew I was going to be at the thing where Legends would be revealed, and I would play it.
Oh, okay.
But if I had never played it, I was like, well, this is going to be a huge waste of time. Yeah. So I was like, someone tell me how to play a CCG because I don't understand any of this. So a couple of my buddies taught me basically how to play Magic. I was like, okay, I've got the base understanding of this. And then I went and I played Legends and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And then I got it on my phone and beat everything Legends had to offer. I was like, this is actually really fun. The art's beautiful. Like, I love this game. So I don't have any idea what any of this resource building anything means.
Well, now you got to learn how to play Dominion.
It's all strategy.
Luckily, I have several of my friends who play Dominions.
So it's not going to be like you grab certain cards in order to negate and destroy the other cards across the path, kind of like Legends was. Instead, it's going to be you're going to be collecting cards in order to synergize with other cards in your deck in order to add things up to the number faster than your opponent does. So it's still strategy. It's still math strategy and all that kind of stuff.
Style though.
Your resource gathering like Gwent and Witcher 3.
Which I'm currently playing The Witcher 3. I haven't gotten into Gwent yet though. So like like that's just it.
It's
like
that style like you're want to get the biggest number.
Yeah.
Before you like really like pass and be done.
Gwent is like kind of a combo thing where it's resources and combat at the same time.
Okay. But that's the thing. So like when that was announced, I know a lot of people were like losing their mind over it and it was like, oh my God, finally. And actually a lot of people had mentioned to us on Tales, like that was actually one that I got several things when we were asking, like, what do people want? People were like, I want a card game. I was like, yeah, we had Legends. I miss Legends. It's really good. And then a couple of people were like, yeah, but just put Legends in like ESO. I was like, okay, that probably wouldn't make a lot of sense, but yes, I'd be on board with that.
It already failed. They already closed the project. And
well, that's the thing. It's not an active development. So it's just kind of like
they stopped development on it.
Yeah, it's in maintenance mode. You can still play it. It still works and everything, but they've got like the store is for the most part, I believe, disabled. They just let you have stuff now so that you can play it and stuff along those lines.
Yeah, you can still buy stuff.
Can you still buy stuff? I was going to say,
yeah.
I kind of assumed there had to be some way you could spend money because otherwise,
I believe they still have like the weekly gauntlets too.
Yeah, they do. And I think they added a new set recently too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it's like, I know that it's toned back because it didn't do super well or whatever. But I liked it. And actually the storytelling was woefully underplayed because a lot of people didn't realize that the story mode was actually like really well written and kind of screwed up, especially the Sheogorath Shivering Isles stuff. Mm-hmm. But like having another version of it, and that's what a lot of people wanted. I was like, okay, I don't have like a strong like opinion, but I'm down to learn it and see if I like it. And the last time I did, I liked it. I mean, they don't really put in systems I don't like in the game, so I don't see why I would necessarily think this is not great. Like, and if it's not, I don't know if there's like 75 other things I can do in games, so I'm not too worried about it.
Right.
Just more variety for people is fine with me. It's just, I'm very curious to see how it is in practice, I guess is the best way I can put it.
Right. I agree. It's worth trying out. And by the way, the game is huge. So if there's one or two systems in the game that I don't want to do, I'm totally fine with that. Like
eventually they're going to make a system I don't. Well, I guess Battlegrounds counts.
There's plenty of other stuff to do. If I don't want to do everything, it's fine. Like I'm totally fine with that. Well, the other big thing with this update is that we're getting 2 more companions, which this is probably the one thing I did predict and am correct about. 2 new companions, a Khajiit, a sneaky Khajiit lady, two ladies actually, a sneaky Khajiit lady, and who was the other one? She is
Ember and Isabel.
Yes,
Breton.
Ember and Isabel. Isabel's a Breton, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this?
I am so excited.
Yeah. I think overall the companion system has gone over really well.
Yeah, people love it.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think they can really do too much to mess it up. So it's going to be great like it was last time.
Literally more of it seems like all anybody wants. Just more of what we have because the system worked. Like,
oh, yeah. For someone who plays alone, like I play solo majority of the time, having an NPC companion definitely helps. Though I really wish they did a Khajiit Dark Brotherhood assassin that was able to follow you.
Who says they haven't?
Well, Ember is a sorcerer from what we understand, but we don't know. And she's morally gray.
And Dark Brothers never had any sorcerers,
right? So she could be. We don't really know right now. And Isabel is a Breton knight, so probably not Dark Brotherhood. Probably
Isabel's going to be more like Bastion,
more noble
issues.
Yeah. That'd be my guess. But again, usually they have some sort of interesting backstory. Lotus and I have been going through, and on the next episode, we'll be talking about Bastion. There's usually some sort of interesting story going on with each of these characters. And if you haven't done the companions and their quest lines yet, there's stuff there to do, and they take their time weaving these into the storylines and making them interesting. So there's, these are worth doing. And one of the things we mentioned on the previous episode is we would rather have 2 interesting characters with really cool storylines than like 5 just kind of like, here's more people you can choose from to have you follow around, and hit things. So I think that's what we're going to be getting is 2 more interesting characters to choose from, which sounds really cool.
I just hope I can use the Blade of Woe without being judged.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Ember will be the one that you choose if you want to use.
I really hope
Blade of Woe.
Yes.
I'm thinking it's a possibility, but if not, I just have a feeling that if and when we get in Argonian, they're gonna be that typical
shadow scale.
Typical Dark Brotherhood shadow scale, and then we'll get the true Dark Brotherhood companion. I don't want my Argonian companion to be a shadow scale because I'm kind of tired of shadow scale stuff, to be honest. But it would be nice to have some companion that's nicer. And if Ember is that one, that'd be great. It's a 50-50.
What if your shadow scale companion cheers behind you? Not only is okay with it, but you sneak up and stab someone and they go,
awesome.
yes, for Sithis. And you're like, whoa, all right.
That would be awesome.
You're like, oh, you went for the throat? How messy.
For Sithis.
They criticize your executions.
You could have done that cleaner. But I still
morally
liked
bad
it.
ones you can find in Skyrim.
Like how Miri makes her little subtle comments whenever you steal things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, judgy Oregonian crown as says in chat. So aside from them, we've also got, of course, new world events with volcanic vents. These are different than anything we've seen before. So this is cool. Volcanoes are cool, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be kind of like the geysers.
Cool
but
reason though, that's like the Harrowstones
supposedly
really interesting.
Yeah, supposedly one of the things that was said in ESO Live after the reveal, Finn mentioned that there was actually a tie-in to the storyline that you'll actually discover with them. So I'm curious what that has to do with anything.
Something about the Stone Lore Druids.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting.
Maybe they're trying to sink the island or something. I don't know.
I'm going to speak out of ignorance here because I actually haven't played the Somerset DLC yet, but I've played it in Somerset Zone, and I don't know, the geysers don't seem to be very interesting, and maybe there's enough lore there to make them interesting. Hopefully, I don't know.
There's a reason they're there.
Yeah, there is a reason they're there. I wouldn't consider it fascinating. But it's like there is. In game, there is a logistical reason that these giant geysers are popping out of the water, and it's not just so much as crap, we need a way to spawn enemies. So.
I want more than a reason, because that's all the geysers seem to be. Is this is an explanation of why they're here. Whereas the Harrowstorms, there was a lot of really cool lore of why that was happening, what that's doing to the world, and what that could result from. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool stuff. And if the volcanic stuff is
I got you.
just another geyser, then at least it's not an anchor, I guess. But
yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. I mean, it seems like they're getting better and better at weaving the stories and connections for this stuff together, and of course there's going to be world bosses and other, standard stuff across the zone like we've seen.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing the dungeon tie-in again.
Dungeon tie-in. Anything else that stands out from the announcements? Lotus, is there anything else that we haven't covered?
There's that really sweet statue, which I was mentioning in chat, that makes my wallet hurt, but I'm going to buy it.
You're going to buy the statue?
Of course I am.
Oh,
yeah. Boy. The sword is a letter opener.
How often do you use letter
Anything's
openers?
a letter opener if you make it.
My finger is a letter opener.
So here's the thing, though. I'm going to open way more letters, way more Breton-like right now, as soon as I get that statue.
How does it... Wait, okay, well, hold on. How does a Breton open a letter?
I assume with a really tiny sword, because
you just stab it and just across.
Yeah,
That's-
just
Or a normal
exactly.
size sword.
First,
Right.
they put out a quest and say,
But imagine
"Someone
this
open
is
my
not
letter."
a pen.
Right. But also, see, so you do that, but also imagine at the same time, you're very resistant to enemy magicka, and that didn't cost you that much of your own resources to use it, because that's another buff they get.
Wow. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, and another really cool thing, and I'm very not good at foreign languges. If anybody has heard me do funny accents, has learned.
Barely do English, Tom.
I barely do English. They're now Elder Scrolls Online has now been, I guess, officially moved over to Spanish. Everything is now
Yeah, that's pretty
Providing
In
Spanish
Spanish.
support is the way they phrase
cool.
it.
Yeah.
which is super cool because Spanish is like, oh, there's a lot of people who speak Spanish who can now
I guess
play
there's like
this game.
Spanish forums too, which is kind of good.
Yeah, in their own language.
Hopefully they're less toxic than
Yeah.
the English forums.
There's
But
20 million
It's still
players.
the internet. So.
20 million players. And of,
Yeah.
of the 20 million players, there's got to be a significant portion of them who would rather be playing this in Spanish, even if they're multilingual. And that also means that this game is now opened up to a significantly larger percentage of people who don't speak English, who can now enjoy the game, which is that's freaking awesome. And I know that's got to be a daunting task for a game that has so much dialogue in it, that is all spoken and also written, and like there's so much to have to translate over, but that's huge. That is really, really big. Can you imagine being an Elder Scrolls fan and going for like the last 8 years this game's been out, just being like, I wish I could play this, but I don't speak English.
Yeah, and
So-
also think that they
That'd be
only had
huge.
the NA server and the EU server. So like anyone who was like in Mexico wanting to play, they had to go on the NA server, even if they don't speak English. And they just like, because NA is not an English speaking thing. That's just what it predominantly is.
Right. Yeah. So man, that's awesome.
To that exact point, my co-host from Tales of Tamaria, Arcaneer, who's actually been on this show before for that wonderful Guar quiz, he literally learned English as a side effect of trying to understand how to play the quest in Oblivion.
That's awesome.
He had that story before, and he was like, yeah, I didn't understand any of it. So I steadily taught myself English, translating it chunk by chunk so that I could know what the hell was going on in Oblivion. And I'm like, that is amazing dedication. So like having it be native for people who might not have that degree of dedication is, that's great. That's a great onboarding tool. So more people have access to it. So
yeah. Wow. That's, and he speaks English really well now. I mean,
incredibly well.
Fluid speaker.
His vocabulary is like mesmerizing for somebody who I believe English is his third or fourth language.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Andrew D in chat says, I would love to hear Cadwell in Spanish. Wow. That would be awesome. I don't know if John Cleese can do Spanish, but that would be great if they actually got some of the
John
same.
Cleese Cadwell?
Yeah.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's Cadwell. He is Cadwell, yes.
It just made it even better when I found out.
Oh, yeah. It's not somebody doing like John Cleese like voice.
Yeah,
it is John Cleese.
Yeah.
It's just John Cleese.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There's some actual like well-known people as some of the voices in Bethesda games.
Carter's
what's
Zera.
the wizard from the main storyline? I can't. The prophet is Dumbledore from Harry Potter.
Yep.
And then Kate Beckinsale.
Yep. Queen Aren.
Queen Aren.
Yep.
Much love there.
Yep. It's very painful to have to try to keep killing Queen Aren.
Oh, no.
Secretly voiced by Kate Beckinsale. Hurts me.
Oh, man. Let's see. And then there's the pre-order stuff.
There's the dungeon previews.
The dungeon previews.
And they previewed a new house that's underwater.
Yeah, that's right.
The underwater house
that one
looks
looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to see that.
Oh,
That
go
was
look
one
it up.
thing I missed.
It's like an underwater house with big windows, and you can see the fishies and the bubbles and stuff
Something
outside the windows.
Spire.
You can feel like Aquaman.
I don't want to feel like Aquaman. Can I still have the house and not
That's
feel
fine.
like Aquaman? I mean, what's his face is in too many movies at this point, and he's always the same person. I'm not.
Jason Momoa.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can feel like Mermaid Man from SpongeBob.
Okay, that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Or it's just SpongeBob, I guess. If we're just going with this logic.
I'm fine with that too. I'll just be SpongeBob.
I'll just be SpongeBob.
I'll just go with that. But it looks really cool.
Pretty cool looking.
It is really cool. It's got these big windows and you can see out into the water. So yeah, if you want to role play a Mailmer or somebody, have an underwater house, totally what you need to go for here. Yeah, the new dungeons and stuff. So guys, going back to just the internet's response, the biggest complaint was it feels lackluster. Like, if this is what we're getting and the biggest addition is a card game, meh. What do you guys say to that? What do you think?
We're not playing this game because it's missing something. It's already a good game, and if they don't add something groundbreaking and prolific every single year, it's still a good game, and that's fine. And the things they have added are still going to make the game better. And it's not going to be jumping strides, but some of these like ways, ease of life's updates that they're doing, like the achievement account wide thing, like that's going to make the game better.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. So achievements, almost all achievements will, if you log into your alt characters, will cross character in the same server, right? So
and
if you're
titles.
Yes.
And titles, right? Which is great. That's great. And in fact, that leads us to believe that maybe some other things will be cross account in the future.
Look, that's
well.
one off my checklist down.
Cross progression.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at you, cross progression.
I want to play on
Cross
PC
saves,
so
baby.
bad, but I've been on Xbox for 8 years.
Let me put in that question I was going to ask Lotus before the show, now that we're on the show.
Yeah, now that we got here.
With the caveats that are in there, where it doesn't count lore books, it doesn't count, I think, dungeons, and doesn't count like a handful of things, do you feel like it's still going to be enough to make you like, okay, now I don't have to worry about just focusing on one character. I can make a different character and try a different pathway, or is it still like, no, I want to keep it all one?
It seems like an interesting way of, I think, kind of trying to nudge people toward like, hey, there is reason to do these other things, because a lot of times when you get real nitpicky with some of the achievements, I've straight up had groups ask, why would I do that? And I'm like, well, because you get an achievement for it. It's something we haven't done. And they're like, yeah, I don't. Okay, like whatever. I don't have any idea of my achievements. And one of the responses is usually, I have zero idea how many achievements I have. They're just scattered all over the place anyways. So it's like,
yeah, if I have to thumb through a menu system to go find out where my achievements are and what I have, then I don't know. I have no idea.
And right. And to the side that actually, because there is a portion that doesn't really like this. And I do understand, because replayability, some people like to earn, I earned whatever. I got my TikTok tormentor on my warden and my necromancer, and now I want to get it on my Templar or something. So it gives people replayability. I get that. I can see that. And some people have their role-playing ways of doing, I want this on this character or whatever. You can still do that stuff on different characters. It doesn't take that away. But I like the fact that it gives you like an over-encompassing, your achievements are more about your player profile and less about your character profile now, which maybe it's just a disconnect. Achievements don't really seem like titles and stuff I get. I want this title for this character because that's what they do. It's like, okay, that's fine. But like, if you do something,
yeah, I get where you're going with this.
It makes more sense. I've never understood, honestly, why it wasn't a player profile journal and why it was a character journal originally, other than the fact that when the game first launched, running alts was just straight up not a thing, because nobody could do it. Like, it took forever. So I don't know. I definitely like the direction it's going. I'm curious to see in practice exactly how much carries over and stuff. And then in regards to that as well, they're fixing the PlayStation thing, because surprise, PlayStation screwed something up. If you have all the last gen trophies, because in the group of us that actually care, people were real upset when they got PS5, and it turns out it wasn't a synchronized trophy list. So you went back to 0.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's now 2 games listed as PS4 and PS5, and you had to do all of them over again. The way that a trophy is unlocked is by getting the corresponding achievement in game. Well, if you straight up had to make a new character then if you wanted to do it, because you couldn't get they found a way apparently that when you log in to PS5, it's just going to read your PS4s and put them all on your PS5.
That's great. That's
great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I was not going to push for Emperor again. Hell no. Like that. Nah, man. I don't have that time of type.
I still haven't even pushed for that.
climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
The exceptions that they made in this update, where the account-wide achievements are account-wide, except for those some that go to dungeons.
Sky shards.
That's kind of exactly what you want then, because it still gives you that replayability.
Right. You can still get, to your point, mage books, like stuff like that. This is going to sound overly cynical, but surprise people, we're talking about also a business aspect. Things you can buy, surprise, you can not have them just auto click over because you can still buy them, which is fine because they're locked behind needing to still earn them once. It's not like I just want to buy all sky shards in the game. Gimme. You have to find them the first time, and then you're allowed to unlock them on your other characters if you want to do. That's still a function. That's probably a pretty lucrative function, to be fair.
But the dungeons more so; those are not going to be account-wide.
You can still re-earn that stuff. So I don't know. I think at least at surface value, without seeing the way that it will trigger everything in general yet, it sounds great. That sounds great, because then if you want to unlock something and help a group, but your current main character doesn't fit the role that's needed, well, you can either sit out or you can play on a character that you're not going to really care about. This will let me be a little more flexible just when helping other people, because if we do something weird and I just happen to fill in for some other role, well, cool. If I did it, I still get credit. Neat. Perfect.
Yeah.
It kind of incentivizes you to mix it up for better group dynamics, it seems like. So,
like you're saying, it's your achievement, not your character's achievement.
Right.
You're the one who achieved it. So it should be tied to you as the player, not the character you did it on.
And I think that's the difference, is people who view it for the character. Yeah, this probably isn't going to be a selling point for you. If you view it as just like my player profile, like that's great. And then I think, that's where you'll have the titles and everything like that unlocked across them. That's where you can kind of customize. And again, it's not like you can't do it again. It's just, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's a step in the right direction. And I don't know how hard it would be to create a toggle that allows you to connect it to a character or not.
Sure, if you don't want to, that'd be even better. Just if you don't want to do this, you don't have to.
You go into the option setting, or when you create a secondary character, or when you log into it for the first time after this comes out, do you want to connect your achievements or not to this character?
Right. Share achievements,
yes or no?
Yes, no.
Right. And once you hit yes, warning, once you share achievements, you can't, they will be shared. You cannot undo this. Are you sure you want to do it? Yes or no? Okay. Yes. There you go. I don't know. Maybe they'll do that. Again, we don't know. But yeah, I can see both sides of the argument, but I think there's probably more people who want shared achievements than don't.
I would agree with that, especially it definitely seems less common, at least in my anecdotal experience. There are definitely plenty of people who have been like, that's actually kind of a turnoff. Totally get it. But yeah, in comparison, it definitely weighs much heavier on the yes, thank God we have shared achievements so far, at least.
Right. Well, guys, this has been an awesome discussion. This is always so much fun having you guys on the show. So thank you again for being here and supporting the show. And do you have any last thoughts before we head out? Any last thoughts on this? I know we didn't get through everybody, but
sorry to derail that.
Oh no, you're totally fine. I mean, all of this is great discussion. Zuni, what do you want to add?
Just like your last question about, things, the internet's response, at the end of the day, this is a place we've never seen. like it's pushing the map, not just ESO, but like the rest of all the stories. So like, I mean, if at anything, as a lore fan, being here on a Lorecast, like that's something that's got to be at least exciting in some dimension, for just Elder Scrolls players of any game. So
yeah, I agree. I also in having multiple characters, having played multiple classes, I start to wonder how many skill lines can you have before you just start duplicating abilities. Like if people are pushing for more skill lines and more classes, at some point, what else do you add? Like, oh, I need another ability that does damage over time. Well, there's already like, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those, like for any class that you currently have to choose from. Like, what else do you add? There's really only so much you can
add more variables in them.
Sure. But
there's still room for that, I
guess. But, at some point it's like, there's just diminishing returns, I guess, Now, that doesn't mean I don't want another class. It'd be really cool to have to role play as a different class and have a reason to start another character. Sure, that'd be great. But can I go another year without that and get other stuff instead? Sure, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with waiting. I would rather them do something awesome and wait for it than get something pushed out that just doesn't make sense for whatever is currently happening. Ben?
This just randomly came back to mind when watching the after show. They are coming out the new horse mount that is a 2-seater.
Yeah.
Yes. And they mentioned the spider one that was back. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
One of the mounts kind of looked like a horse, but not really like a horse. It kind of looked like a reptile that was shaped like a horse.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah. What one of the new
they said it's a new like mount skeleton.
Isn't that part of the collector's edition?
I think so, or something like that. But yeah, you're right. It's like a new skeletal build of a creature that hasn't been in the game yet. Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a I don't know what to call it.
Kind of looks like a dragon horse without wings, I guess.
Which is awesome.
That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, it's kind of reptilian. It's got kind of a long snout with like jaws on it. Yeah.
Question first, though, real fast. Who's pre-ordered it yet?
I haven't put my pre-order in yet, but I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the show to end, pretty much. not gonna lie, got out of work, had dinner, came here, pre-ordering stuff after.
I hate that if you buy the pre-order upgrade, I think you only get this set, and I didn't buy all of the upgrades before, and now if I want the other upgrades, now I have to get them piece by piece, where if I just got it when I got the whole game, it would have been a lot cheaper.
You mean the like each of the previous chapters type of deal?
Yeah.
So look at the website. There is one that includes all previous chapters.
I thought that was only the one that comes to the base game. Is there an upgrade one?
Yeah, I'm almost positive there's an upgrade one. There's a full buy one. There's 4 different types or something like that.
I was reading it earlier, and I want to say there is one that has all 4 or all of the previous stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they've this sounds ridiculous, but there's like a flow chart that they have to come out with each year because the naming on these things is just when you have so many different types to try to fit so many different sets of people who have parts of things. It's literally like, oh my God, which one do I have? They usually do a pretty helpful chart after I think it was Elsewhere, when people were just so confused. It was like, okay, like what do I even do anymore? So yeah, I think there is one that would actually fit what what you need.
Yeah, I'm looking forward right now.
Literally have it open.
Compare editions. Yes. So yeah, there's the there's a bunch of them. Go look it up. Look it up.
I think there's only 4.
No, there's 4. Okay, so there is 4. There is one that includes the base game and all the expansions. I think that's probably what you need.
Well, is there an upgrade that includes all the expansions? Because I don't think there is.
No. But you would still need to buy the one that just still includes the base game.
So it would have the base game. Okay.
So
all right.
For anyone who hasn't bought an ESO yet, maybe save yourself some money and buy all of it at once.
Just buy all of it at once. And in fact, if you're missing, like if you have ESO and Morrowind, but you're missing Somerset, Elsewhere, Greymoor, and Blackmoor, and you want to get High Isle, then just get that one that still comes with the base game in Morrowind, because you're going to save on having to collect all of those other DLCs also.
Yeah. So can you buy the base game ones and then just not benefit from having
it'll just fill in the blanks. So just get that one and just fill in the blanks. As really weird context. I love the collectible stuff. I've never digitally upgraded a single one of those. Every single year I buy the physical copy, which comes with absolutely everything, which is the most expensive version you can buy, but I at least get my thing for the shelf.
I haven't done that for the last expansion of this one, really.
Well, and that's just it. They started a couple, I think it was Elsewhere they started where they were like, oh, you can upgrade a little. And it was like, that's great for people that can do that. Just give me the $60 one that's got them all. I just want my case that goes on my shelf. And each time the code inside basically will just give you everything retroactively, and it just kind of fills in the blanks for what you're missing, at least in the physical version. I assume it's probably similar if that's the case with the digital version of doing that.
Yep. In fact, I just got my wife up to speed with everything. She only had the base game, so I got her the Blackwood expansion with everything, including the base game, and it just filled in all the expansions for her.
Okay, cool.
So that's what it did. So I mean, I guess technically she owns 2 copies of the base game, but I don't think that actually counts.
Right.
And there's no way to separate that and then gift it out.
I didn't know that didn't matter. I thought if you had the base game, you can't buy the base game again.
Oh no, they will let you buy it again. Don't worry. they will let you do
it. If there's a way you can give them money, they'll find a way.
They're fine with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been super fun. Let's go back through and let people know if you want to share a way to get a hold of you other than on the Discord. All of you guys are available to shout out on the Discord. And if you have anything else going on that you want to share, if you got any projects you're working on or cool things to share, let's just go back through. Ben, thanks for joining.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Benetamaria. As far as anything's going on, I live here in Ohio, so we have our annual anime convention coming up here pretty soon, and I will be cosplaying as my original Witcher, even though this is Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
I'll be as my Witcher character at OhioCon in the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, Ben likes to share his pictures. He's got a whole Witcher outfit with the swords and everything.
I have a whole
It's very cool.
Thing.
It's very, very cool. So yeah, definitely share some more pictures on the Discord and be looking out for that, everybody. Have fun with that. And I'm sure we'll be chatting with you on the Witcher Lorecast on Sunday instead of Monday.
Sunday. What, 7?
It's at 7:30 on Sunday instead of Monday this weekend. Rob has his sword too. You guys could sword fight. There you go.
I could. I train.
Wow. Well, watch out, Ben. T-Rex, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be here again. Sorry about my cats.
Oh, you're fine. Cats are cute. They bother you more than they do us.
I'm on Twitter at T-Rex9431. I don't really do a whole lot. You can find me in ESO occasionally when I'm not working. Yeah. Lately, I've just been watching Lucifer, so...
The TV show, not the individual. You don't actually have Lucifer in your house.
Lucifer Morningstar is not here.
Okay. He's just your house guest.
Yeah.
You've got a guest room that he rents out, and he just hangs out, and you just keep an eye on.
Totally. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I hope you're charging a lot.
Oh yes, of course. Gotta get that money.
Gotta get that money. He's got the money. He can pay.
Oh yeah. He owns a whole nightclub, and he's the devil, so
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's working out. He's working deals in the back room of every club. So yes.
Oh yeah.
Zuni, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it was super fun first time. I am one of the people who has been off and on ESO just because of school and schedules. But so I haven't played a lot of the newer expansions. I think the last one I played was Somerset.
Wow.
A little behind. So if anyone is interested in also getting through that, or just got the game and they want someone to play through some stuff with for the first time, you can find me in the Discord.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, hopefully some people will take you up on that. I know we've got a lot of people out there playing. And what platform are you on?
I'm on PC.
PC. All right. So there you go. And then Rob the Princess.
Yes, I use Discord as my preferred social media. It's just what I don't really use any of them. So you can find me there, and you can find me on ESO. I'm playing very often, and I would love to find other people to play with. I'm on PC, NA, and EU because playing with Villain Behind the Glass last month, and he's like, "Hey, you just make an EU account for fun," and that just gave me an excuse to make more alternative characters. And now I have like 13.
Oh man! Wow. That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Lotus, you have anything you want to share? I know we've got some fun stuff coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I'll shout out the fact that you'll be joining on Tales. So, if you didn't get enough hype discussion, we are going to be having, over on Tales of Tamriel, myself, since I'm the host, and then robots to represent Lorecast. We're going to have Doc Hudat from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. And hopefully, if all works out well, we'll also be able to get Benefactor from the Imperial Library. But there's some real life stuff we want to just make sure works out okay for him first. And Ark is going to give up sleeping so that he can also join. So we're going to have a
podcast party.
Yeah, it's probably going to be real long. That's how we
I'll
do
make
things.
sure. And it's going to start late too, so I'll grab some caffeine.
Yeah, shotgun all the caffeine.
It'll be a long 4-hour, 2-hour episode.
Yeah, exactly. And that's generally, if you want to have enough podcasts to go through your entire work week after listening to this, you can just listen to the other 38 hours with us over from Tales of Tamriel. So.
Sweet. Yeah. So that'll be Saturday night?
Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. We will be recording as a big conglomerate of podcasters.
Yes. Well, and then we will take over the world. All right. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. And of course, you know where all of my stuff is. Robotsradio.net is where you can go for all of our shows, including... hey, we'll just call out. I'm trying to call out shows instead of dropping ads for other shows. But the UESP podcast is part of the Robots Radio podcast network, including Doc. So you should go check that out if you need some more Elder Scrolls podcasts in your life. So check it out. Go to robotsradio.net. You can find links to all the different shows. And of course, my streams and podcast streams and game streams happen over on youtube.com/c/robotsradio. Also twitch.tv/robotsradio. I'm streaming everywhere, and I'd love for you guys to come hang out with me in the evenings every night of the week, except for Saturdays, because, this Saturday I'll be joining Lotus. But we're playing games in the evenings if I'm not podcasting and doing all sorts of fun stuff. And we also have a Minecraft server. This is a new thing. Because I polled the community and I was like, guys, it would be really fun to have kind of a persistent world game for the community to play together. And they responded with, I put out some options out there, and Minecraft got the most votes. And I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to buy a Minecraft server. So I'm renting a Minecraft server for the community to play. I've installed a bunch of plugins with all sorts of fun stuff. So if you want to do some wacky stuff with us in Minecraft, then go to the Robots Radio Discord. There's a channel on there for Minecraft, and we've got people building stuff. We've got a cool little world going on with some cool plugins and things. And, you can come hang out with us. Other than that, just, come chat with us on the Robots Radio Discord, and we will see you guys next week. I apologize for missing an episode this week. I came down with the vid, but I'm feeling a lot better now. And Lotus and I will be back next week talking about Bastion, digging into one of the other companions, and we'll see you then. So until then, stay safe in Tamriel, and we'll see you later. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESOLorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.